Hey, security peeps, it's Renee Small here, and I am back. This is the new year, January 2019, and I would like to say Happy New Year, even though we're later on in the month. We are doing our first Breaking into Cybersecurity series, and I'm here today with Neha Mehta. Say hi, Neha, to everyone.
Hi.
So
Thanks
we
for having me.
Thank you. We are super excited to have you here. So before I jump in, I just usually I'm here with Chris Foulon, but he unfortunately is on a business trip and cannot meet with us today. So I am super excited to be here with Neha, and she is going to be sharing with us her cybersecurity experiences, how she got to where she is today, and she is actually one of the people that we were going to meet in as one of the UMUC graduates. So super excited to have her here. Super excited to get started. And Neha, we will jump right in. So I wanted to ask you, what made you, before you got into cybersecurity, what were you doing? And tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into, what made you even think about getting into the cybersecurity field?
Um, Truthfully, it was just a lot of trial and error.
Mm-hmm.
I tried to go to college and I did. I did. I just didn't really know what kind of major I wanted to go into. And so I picked security and intel because that seemed really interesting and just different from anything I've ever really heard of. And it delved more into like government work and whatnot. So that part was really interesting. I also majored in Spanish as well because I realized that I wanted to have an extra skill that sorry, there's a little bit of feedback. I wanted to get into a specific skill that I could use day to day on top of my Intel major. So I tried that. I'm not a native speaker. It didn't work. So for a couple years, I was kind of trying to figure out what my next move is. And there was a lot of trial error. And then after a lot of trying for 2 years, I kind of just made an impulse decision to go into cybersecurity at UMUC.
Well, that's fantastic. I mean, I didn't even know that you did that your minor was in Spanish. Was it a minor or co-major?
It was a double
Double
major.
major. Cool. And I know you went to Ohio State, and you had shared with me
Mm-hmm.
before we started recording that
Yes.
you that your major was pretty unique. You know, the
Mm-hmm.
major that you chose at Ohio State, and I think it's probably one only not many schools have that major, right?
I don't think so.
Hmm.
I do know that when I was talking to a friend of mine, he said it was a minor at Maryland,
Hmm.
but not a major. And it was not exactly the same thing.
And it was security and intel, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, awesome. And then from there, you got into went and had your first role, and I know you had shared with me that that didn't work out, and you decided to go back to school and go to UMUC, and you had shared.
Yes. Yeah. I was.
Tell me more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was just I was kind of getting frustrated with not progressing. So I just decided to go to grad school in a major that I knew that was like very much in
Hmm.
demand. So that's kind of just how I got it. And it was a really good addition to my undergrad. So it wasn't completely out of left field.
Right, exactly. So when you had shared with me that, a lot of people come from completely different backgrounds, so they don't even have, you had at least the security and intel um, undergraduate major and understanding when you went to get the UMUC, when you went back to school to UMUC to get the cybersecurity degree. And what was your focus at UMUC? Like what was there any particular area of focus for you?
Yeah, there's four
Hmm.
tracks. I chose the general cybersecurity
Hmm.
technology track. And I mainly did that because I felt that it would give me the most like variety of positions that I could get
Right.
into. I just felt like it was the most
Yeah.
marketable.
Yeah, definitely,
Yeah.
especially with the background that you already had.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty cool. And then, so talk to me
Yeah.
about how you even applied, like when you were going through the process of applying to different opportunities, and going through different interviews. One of the struggles that our viewers and listeners always seem to deal with
Mm-hmm.
is that it's so hard breaking into the industry. And so they really,
Mm-hmm.
they're always, reaching out to me,
Mm-hmm.
reaching out to Chris, and they probably have reached out to you and other folks that are more seasoned in the
Mm-hmm.
industry saying, there's not one path. Like, how do I break in? What do I do? So talk to me about what you did. So you're in grad school. What were you doing as you started
Mm-hmm.
to progress? To get to your position to where you are today?
I hmm, I looked at a bunch of private sector opportunities, and a lot of them said that they required an X amount of years experience, and that's something I didn't have. So when I looked on USA Jobs, I saw that there was a lot of positions that were entry level, and they specifically lay out for you what requirements that you need to meet for, especially for like intern
Hmm.
positions. So I actually got in as an intern at GSA, which is General Services and Administration.
Oh,
Sorry, I keep getting feedback, so I know that like I sound like really weird. It's because I'm trying to like not hear myself. So,
it might
so
be. You sound fine to us,
yeah.
but it might be. You might have to mute something on. I don't know. Maybe in your
Possibly.
laptop.
I do.
Uh,
I keep getting feedback of my own voice,
oh,
so that's
okay,
what's
got it.
distracting. Yeah.
So yeah, no, but
Yeah.
yeah, this is a really cool story because we typically,
Mm-hmm.
I like I shared with you, it's so hard sometimes to go through that USA Jobs
Mm-hmm.
website and the application process. So, and you said you also looked at private industry. So were you looking at these opportunities online? Did you get them through career fairs? Was it through like the career services department? Was it through your professors? Like, talk to us about how the different opportunities were presented or how you went about searching for different opportunities for your internship and or full time.
I can't speak for other people, but at least for myself, I feel like networking within the government space kind of doesn't take you very far, especially because you're going to have to go through this USA Jobs process
Mm-hmm.
regardless. So even if you meet people, there's a good chance that your resume won't even get through. So that's something that I try to focus on first. So I just made sure I was qualified for all the jobs I
Mm-hmm.
applied to, and which were about like a good like 20 to 25 intern positions or so. And I started around like fall 2017. And I just kept applying to every single internship that popped up on my radar that was like security or IT oriented at all. Like, that's all I did. I probably got referred to the hiring manager half those times.
Mm-hmm.
I probably got an interview maybe 2 or 3 times, and I got one job offer. So the odds were not good at all. But I do think that it's a bit of a numbers game, and you have to just keep applying, and you just never know how many people are applying for the position. So you just have to apply to all of them
Right.
possible. And another thing I was going to say, I forgot. Oh, yeah, checking every day, because there's positions that are open for only like 3 days. And you have to be able to make sure you're on the site every single day checking, because there's positions that are only open for 3 days. Not that many people apply. And then you have a better chance of getting the job. So just checking every day and doing your due diligence, that really helps too.
Well, that's some good advice, especially for folks who, people like me who, when it comes to USAJOBS and just the government as a whole, it's such a different, it's just like a different.
It's kind of a black hole for
Totally
resume.
A black hole. It's a different space. I mean, people come to me and ask for help in that area, and I'm the first person to say, I have no idea where to begin, where to help you. And I try to.
I truthfully think my age was also on my set, because I don't think that a lot of places who are looking for interns are looking for people who are like already with like 10 years of experience in a different industry. Mm-hmm. So that's going to be a little difficult. But I don't think it's impossible, because I do know a few people who are a little bit like maybe like 10 years older than me. I'm 28 for reference, that have gotten internships. But I do think that age does play a little bit of a role, especially for internship and recent graduate positions. So.
It might also be, it may be like the people who are early in the career per se versus the actual age. Yeah. It's like
that makes sense. Yeah. That actually makes more sense.
Is because if you think about the folks that go back to school, people go back at all ages. And actually, we just got a question that came through that says, hello, I'm trying to break into the cybersecurity field, but have a law enforcement background. This is from Jacqueline. And she's also 50 years old. How or where can I start? And then she follows up and says, USAJOBS is very frustrating. And I wholeheartedly agree. I mean, I've seen that website, and I say to myself every day, if they had to wait for me to apply to a job there, I would never get one, because it seems so frustrating to me. But Jacqueline, I think that, some of the points that Neha is making right now in terms of ensuring that you're checking out the websites from a government perspective, to Neha's point, you definitely have to go through those government website, USAJOBS, like it's the nature of the beast. It has to happen. From private sector, we've had a number of people come on the show and say that they have networked and they applied. So it's usually a multi-pronged approach. It's kind of finding out, okay, where can I find the entry-level opportunities, seeing, one of the other webinars that I have done before have been like helping folks get really clear on their resumes and showing the cybersecurity experience that you have, even when you have a little bit of experience, really like showcasing that on your resume. And then also, to your point, applying and staying on top of daily what roles are available in the private sector and in the public sector. You were going to say something, Neha?
If you were transitioning into cybersecurity and you're that's what I did. I showcased a project and that helped. And like, I think, sorry, I keep getting a little distracted with my own voice. With those projects, as long as it makes sense for the role, I think that going more in depth would also help. So my education, GPA for my only like current education. Everything else I kind of just left off. I listed all of my projects that I felt that would help. I listed the most relevant job experience that I had and any sort of professional experiences / affiliations. That also helped a little bit too. And I also showed them that even though I don't have my certs yet, I am working towards that. So let's say Security Plus is the one that I want to get within a couple months. I would just say working towards Security Plus, so they know that at least you're trying and they're on your way to getting there.
Right.
Yeah.
No, those are such valid and really great points, specifically around the projects, because what I've seen where people get really, really frustrated, I've seen this over and over again, is that they're making a career transition and they focus on everything that they used to do. So whatever their old job was, whatever their old profession was, and that's typically when you think about a resume, it's always like backwards looking. So looking at the past. And they hardly ever highlight, you and a handful of people that I've met over the months and years hardly ever, are the very few that actually highlight the project, highlight the coursework, really explain like, oh, this was the project, this was a pen testing project, these are the tools that I used, this is what I did, these are the outcomes, so that people understand, like, they don't expect you to know everything in security, but they realize, oh, Neha actually did this stuff in her projects. And for a couple reasons. One, it's great from an interviewing perspective, but, or I guess that would be number two. Number one, it's going to rank your resume and get you to the top of the pile, because one of the biggest challenges and biggest frustrations is that people apply and the resume goes into a black hole. And the reason why that goes into the black hole is because they don't have anything on there that says cyber, other than I have a master's in cybersecurity, and then the whole rest of the resume is like some other profession. So hiring manager, it's not even going to get ranked, So definitely one of those areas. And I think Jacqueline has another question here. Oh, I think I need someone to take a look at my resume. I have no experience or certs. Okay, so Jacqueline, we will talk. Yeah, shoot me a LinkedIn message. I'll put my LinkedIn information in here. And so, yep, the resume and the coursework, or the coursework needs to be involved in the resume in order for your resume to rank higher in the for applicant tracking systems, for USAJOBS.gov. And so for people who aren't aware, applicant tracking systems are, quote unquote, the black hole that your resume goes into when you submit it to a job. And what these tools do is they rank your resume. So if they get 100 resumes for a job, they may only, or they're going to rank them like number 1 to number 100. Or they'll give them a percentage, like, oh, this person has 95% of what the job is asking for. This person has 92% of what the job is asking for. This resume has 75%. That resume has 30%. So from an HR perspective, recruiting perspective, all of that, an HR person is not going to eyeball every single 100 resumes. They're going to eyeball like the top 20, maybe top 10, and then the rest of them can stay in the, quote, black hole. And so that's where people get frustrated, because they're like, I keep applying and applying and applying, and I don't get a call back or anything like that. It's the volume of resumes that go into these systems and tools and the way the systems rank you. So the whole kind of trick is making sure that you get ranked up high enough. And part of that is ensuring that you have the projects on there, you have cybersecurity on there over and over again throughout the resume. Just putting masters in cybersecurity isn't helping the case, because probably everybody has a master's, and it drops you down in a list. So
it helps at least get you through. It just may not get you to refer to the hiring manager point. So just having the masters.
Yeah.
If you meet the minimum requirements, also a lot of them say you must have like a 3.0 out of 4.0. So you have to put your GPA on it. Otherwise they'll disregard it.
Yeah.
So that's another one. Also, UMUC, we get to play with a lot of tools in our grad program, like Wireshark, Nessus. We at least touch the tools. We don't go fully in depth. We're not experts by the time we get out of school. But just saying that you're familiar with all these tools does put you ahead of the pile too. Right. And I feel like I did that in my resume, and I think that helped a lot too.
Yeah. That's the thing. For the entry level and the internship roles, the manager knows that you don't have a ton of experience. That's not really that's why you're getting an internship. That's why you are entry level. So they don't expect you to have all of these various things, even though sometimes these job descriptions out there say, oh, you must have this, this, and that. Typically, when it's an entry level job and it's 0 to 2 years experience, they just want to see that you're doing some of these tasks in your coursework and that you documented them on your resume. So very much to your point, that's exactly what you did. And that's why you were one of the folks that got called, and ultimately interviewed and then got your job, because that's what you put on there. And then, like you said, with UMUC and a lot of schools, you do get to play with the tools. You do have familiarity. That's all they're really looking for. Like, does this person know anything about this topic? And then I mean, for your interview process, I know a lot of times managers want to know like how you keep abreast of what's going on in cybersecurity and things like that. Did they ask you those types of questions?
My 2 interviews that I had were night and day. The one I got hired for, my manager is a little unique with his interviewing. He doesn't really ask you all the skills that you like have related to it. He just wants to see that you're curious, eager to learn, and just showing that on your resume and when you talk to him, that really is the reason why he hired me. So just showing that you're like eager to learn, and if you demonstrate that somehow on your resume, I think that really helps a lot too. I went to a lot of conferences and I volunteered for some of them too. Just showing that you've actually gone to conferences and put it on your resume. That shows that you're like curious and trying to learn more and taking time outside of your school to go and pursue like knowledge, I guess. I don't know how else to describe it.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, everything that you're doing is what everyone has said, you know, being a part of the community, going to the conferences, understanding and learning and being curious. Like, one of the things that I hear over and over again from leaders in regards to what they look for in talent, more so than any particular like skill or tool set, it's all about like curiosity. Like, are you going to be that person to dig in? Because as we both know, in cybersecurity, everything changes so fast. Like, you know, the tool that's out today or the solution that's out today is changing tomorrow, like literally day by day, minute to minute, hour to hour. It changes so much. So they want to understand that the person that they are bringing on the team, or the person that is really like curious about this, really wants to understand more and more, grow, learn, you know, continue on with continuing education, be a part of the cybersecurity community, go to the various, and like how you did, volunteer when you have the time for the different conferences and all of that. So being kind of truly engaged in the space is awesome. And that also lends to, even though it may not be looked at as networking, that is an aspect of networking, because you're there, you're volunteering, you're meeting new people, you're interacting. All of that is building, you know,
and writing that on your resume specifically is the difference. Like, don't wait till the interview to show that you're doing that. You can put it on your resume. It's going to only help you.
Right.
It may take up space from like other things you really want to include, but those are the most relevant things at the end of the day.
Yeah. No, you're so right. It's all about relevancy. People ask me about resumes all the time. Like, when they ask questions about resumes, and it's all about what's relevant, and it's all about kind of where you want to go. So I can get a resume, and a resume looks great, but the real question mark is, what jobs are you interested in? What are you looking to do? Because your resume should be a reflection of that job. One of the things when I first started in recruiting years ago, a manager said to me, what's really awesome when hiring managers get really excited when a person's resume reads the job description. So you have a job description, you're like, and it's
matching it. Yeah.
You know, you're like, oh my God, like this person does exactly what we do here. You know, like that's when they start getting excited about bringing people on. And so people don't fully understand like the resume. Yes, it has to show some of the stuff you've done, but especially when it's breaking into security and breaking into cyber, you know, when you're new and fresh in the field, it should be reflective of the relevant things you're doing. So everything that you put on there is what made these people excited and said, oh, let's interview Neha.
Yeah.
She's at the conference.
I didn't put all the jobs that I did throughout college and post-college. I only picked one that was the most recent and the most relevant. And then I showcased just like the conferences, the tools that I worked with in school, the projects, the certs that I'm working towards. So that all, I think, made my resume far more relevant than just me showing that I had work experience. And I think another thing a lot of people get scared by is that private sector wants you to have X amount of experience. And not everyone can meet that when they have zero experience. It's a chicken or the egg situation. So I think having a mindset where you're never going to stop learning, and that's something that you have to just be mentally prepared for in technology because everything's so quickly changing. Showing that on your resume somehow, that you're continuously learning, developing professionally, they know that you're the right personality fit for it too.
Right. Yeah. Such a valid point. And the leaders share that all the time. And how you showcase that on your resume is by ensuring that, to your point earlier, going for the security plus, the continuing education. Like, when you see somebody's resume and they've had multiple different skill sets or tool sets that they've learned over the years, or they're getting another certification and it makes sense now. People talk about the alphabet soup of certifications, and you don't want to have a zillion certifications that don't align. But if you're in a field and the certifications make sense, and you're like, okay, well, I did the security, I went for my security plus, I went for my CISSP, and now I'm going for, I'm going into this niche field. Like, I really want to get more. I want to get the CEH, or I want to get, another one of the SAN certifications in a specific niche skill set. It makes sense to the manager, not that you're just getting security certifications just like random, but you have some kind of thought process like, okay, this is what's most interesting to me, and this is why I'm going down this path to get these various certifications. And that is what shows in the continuing education, the people who are, continuing to learn and grow. And I hear that over and over and over again. The best security people, the best leaders, everyone is looking to not be stagnant and stay ahead of the curve.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, this field is not for people who have a one and done education and then they think they're done and that's all they have to do. It's just not the right personality fit.
Yeah.
It's just not at all. Yeah, I agree with that a lot.
Continuous learning. Yeah. So, Neha, we're at our last 2 minutes of the show. Okay. So usually Chris is the one who asked this question, but I am going to have to ask it for him since we miss him today. What would you say would be the one piece of advice that you would give to someone that's looking to break into the field, that's struggling right now, and they're watching this and they see you and you're where they want to be? What kind of advice would you give them?
I'm not sure where, if I'm actually where they want to be, but let me think.
Well, you are, because you're in the door. I didn't get a chance. They're on the outside.
Yeah, I do have my foot in the door. Right. Yeah.
That's step one.
Let me think. I've already said a lot of things, so I'm trying to think of something new. I would actually say this is the biggest difference for me. I took career coaching classes, and that's where it really helped me figure out what to say in my elevator pitch, my interview in general, what to put on my resume, how to salary negotiate. And I think that really helped me focus from being kind of confused and putting everything on my resume to being more concise, and just helped me be more laser focused in the field. So I think that career coaching really made a difference for me. And I feel like that would make a lot of differences for a lot of people. So a huge difference for a lot of people.
That's so awesome. And it's so funny because I didn't even know that you did that. And
that's the reason why I knew what to put
Mm-hmm.
on my
Mm-hmm.
resume. It's because of career
Yeah.
coaching. And I wouldn't have known that if it wasn't for
Right.
this.
Which is
So,
awesome.
yeah.
And it's so funny because um, I'm putting together an offering, a specific cyber career coaching offering right now. I've been quietly working on it. Um, and it's specific to like this kind of stuff. So it's hilarious that,
That's so funny. I didn't know that about you. That just ended up working out so well.
exactly. So awesome. All right. Well, Neha, it was so much fun having you. Thank you so much for being a guest on our show. We are super excited that you were
Thank you
able
for
to
having
come
me.
on. This was, I know you definitely provided some really great insight, especially you definitely provided insight to me on USAJobs.gov, because like I said, had no idea about how to get through that, that space.
I'm also not former military
Nothing.
or
Right.
no clearance. So this is literally starting from scratch.
Right.
No experience, no
Right.
military, no clearance.
Awesome.
So,
Awesome.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's so great for people to hear that. Like, you don't have to have the military background. Everyone talks about clearance, 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 every job is not clearance. I say that all the time as well. And that,
Especially internships. Like, a lot of them are not
right,
clearance like
right.
required.
Yeah.
You do need to do your basic government
Right.
clearance to work in
Background check.
government, but that's
Right.
after you get on the job. It's not something you need to have before it.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Awesome.
Mhm.
So thank you, ma'am. This was amazing. We have, just so everyone else knows, we have a huge lineup. I think we are booked out into March, almost April, with people who have broken into the field. And we have a ton of awesome, diverse backgrounds, all types of different backgrounds, people of all different ages, and women and men, and all types of different. When I say backgrounds, like educational backgrounds, and people with prior different careers, a lot of career changers. So super excited to bring them on, and excited to get my co-host back next week. And we will see you next Friday, same time, 12 Eastern. Thank you. Thanks again, Neha. Bye, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.